Sketch and TP here. We are doing a little bit of a different video today. We are here nice and cozy by the fire with our dog and mugs. Handmade mugs that I made for TP and I. She got them for Christmas, and they have a pretty and gritty logo on them. And do you like your Christmas gift?
I do. I was very surprised and very happy. It was beautiful.
It was hard keeping it a secret from you. So today we are going to be going over the history of the Pacific Crest Trail.
I have found that when you want to experience something, knowing a little something about it just enhances the experience that you're going to have, whether it be something that you've learned for school or for fun. It just brings whatever you're doing alive. It doesn't take away from the experience. It actually enhances the experience, because you can explain what something looks like or what something is, but until you get in it, it's just still not there. So I'm not afraid of ruining any surprise or anything. I am just making this, for me, a better experience. We did that many times when we were homeschooling. It just made things come alive, touching and seeing and going and doing and being in whatever we were learning about. Made what we learned in the books all that much more enriched. I know we had that same experience last night when we went to an art museum. Knowing a little bit before actually enhanced knowing. I know you found that to be in your art as well.
Yeah, in my art school, we always were taught that when you know the history of the time period of that art piece, what was going on in the world, what was going on in that artist's life, what his mindset or her mindset was like, really enhanced how you viewed that painting, and it changed the way you looked at that art piece, and actually it made it so much more, and so much more of like a spiritual experience kind of, and it felt like it resonated with you. Yeah, and that's something that we decided we wanted to do for the trail, because both TP and I, we've heard about the trail, but we've never really put a lot of research into it. And so she spent the last couple of weeks putting a lot of effort into researching it, reading books, articles, looking at the PCTA website, which is the Pacific Crest Trail Association, if you don't know what that means. And so she's going to be talking, and every once in a while I'll key in a few thoughts, but for the most part she'll talk today.
And you can Google and do your own Wikipedia, go to the PCTA website, whatever. You can, or you can just sit back and gather what information we got. First of all, what is the PCT? It is the Pacific Crest Trail, not the Pacific Coast Trail. There are coastal trails, but this is the Pacific Crest Trail, and it literally is, when it was imagined, it was going to be a walk on the crest of all the mountain ranges from the border of Mexico to Canada through the western United States. It is designated as a scenic trail, a national scenic trail, and it has the number 2,000. The Appalachian Trail has the designation of 1,000, but the Pacific Crest Trail is 2,000. It is one of only 11 scenic trails, national scenic trails. And it's a trail, like I said, connects the border of California and Mexico, and it's a trail all the way through California, Oregon, and Washington, and ends at Monument 78 at the Canadian and United States border in Washington. It's about 2,650 miles, give or take a few. Every year the trail changes its course just a little bit, whether it's a water crossing, trails that are on fire that you have to go around, closure for an endangered species, or whatever it is. It's about 2,650-ish miles, give or take 10, 15 miles. You can haggle over it all you want. It's still what it is. In a book that I read, it says it is a well-engineered and for the most part a well-maintained trail. The trail itself is easy to hike. It is well-graded and never steep. It is designated for horse riders as well as hikers. And we saw that there was a couple hikes, horse riders on it when we did a section a couple years ago in Washington near Mount Rainier. But I'll tell you, I'm surprised when I read that there are very few horse riders that take it all the way from one to the end. First of all, the wear and tear on the animals, but second of all, there are some places that I'm not sure how a horse got up and over some of those logs. They were large. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it's been done.
I mean, if you think about it, if a human can do it, a horse can do it as well. I mean,
yeah.
They jump.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it feels weird that a horse would jump over those things, especially with the amount of weight from the packs and the human. Yeah. And, well, I mean...
Oh, imagine taking their feed and whatnot, especially up through, like, the Sierra.
Yeah.
Oh, because there's, like, not very much grassland. I don't know. But, hey, kudos to anybody who does. I would love to do a little more research on that one. That would be interesting.
That'd be really cool. In fact, it's kind of interesting, like, if you think about it, the Appalachian Trail... it is not graded for horses.
Oh, no.
Horses can't really go on the Appalachian Trail. And then you have the Continental Divide Trail. And these three all make up the Triple Crown in the U.S. And the Continental Divide Trail started originally as a horse trail. Like, it was a cattle and livestock trail. And now a lot more humans go on it. Yeah. And so it's kind of funny how those two are that way. And then the Pacific Crest Trail was made for both. Yeah, horses and hikers, and I think that's so cool, the differences.
Yeah, well, I kind of appreciate it too because it can't be too steep.
Yeah, that's true.
It goes through the three states of California, Oregon, and Washington. The midpoint is in California. California section is 1,691 miles, and it's made up of three sections: the southern section, the central section, and the northern section. Oregon is 455 miles, and Washington is 505 miles. And of course, those are rounded. It goes through 25 national forests and 7 national parks, of which I have been to all except for 2. And you have been to quite a few yourself, but you're going to get them all. Bucket list. The highest point on the trail is Forester Pass at 13,153 feet. The lowest point is when we cross the Columbia River, and that's about 140 feet, give or take a few, because we are walking across a bridge. It is, like Jessica said, one of the trails that is designated as a Triple Crown of hiking in the United States. So that's a little bit about what it is, and let's find out how it became. And I think this one's really fascinating because it's a woman! Yay! Her name was Catherine Montgomery. She was a teacher at what will eventually become Western Washington University in Bellingham, Washington, just south of the Canadian border. She was of Scottish descent, and she was described as very outdoorsy. She and a couple fellow faculty were known for tramping, going on tramps for a week or two, and they would hike around the Mount Baker area, which is very close to Bellingham. It's a beautiful mountain. We can see it from our neighborhood on a very clear day, and be easier if there were no trees. We could see it all the time, but that's how tall it is. It's huge. In fact, here's a fun fact. It was supposed to be, the top of Mount Baker was going to be the original end. It had been proposed as to be the original end of the Pacific Crest Trail.
I did not know that.
But they decided it was a little too high and almost always too snowy. And it does. It never loses its snow. And so you would not just be hiking, you'd be mountaineering, as you would have to scramble up and over. So that quickly was changed. So anyway, she learned about the Appalachian Trail while she was reading a book. And she got to thinking, why not one from Mexico to Canada? Or is it Canada to Mexico? I don't know.
In 1926, Catherine met Joseph Hazard, who was a famed Seattle mountaineer, but his day job was selling textbooks, and they had an appointment for him to present different textbooks to her. And in a book called The Pacific Crest Trail, Exploring America's Wilderness Trail, they wrote down how the encounter went. And it says, This is Catherine speaking. Do you know what I've been thinking about, Mr. Hazard, for the last 20 minutes? I had hoped you were considering the merits of my presentation of certain English texts for adoption. Oh, that! Before you call, I had considered them the best. I still do. But why do not you mountaineers do something big for Western America? Just what have you in mind, Miss Montgomery? A high winding trail down the heights of our western mountains with mile markers and sheltered huts, just like these pictures I'll show you of the long trail of the Appalachians, from the Canadian border to the Mexican boundary line. And little did she know that evening he had a presentation for the Bellingham Mount Baker Club. And he carried the plan to the Mount Baker Club of Bellingham. Favorable action was taken. The rest of the mountain clubs of the Pacific Northwest promptly contacted all other outdoor organizations. All adopted the project with enthusiasm and organized to promote it.
Yes, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Just happened just north of us. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And they rallied the troops around in the Pacific Northwest, and they eventually wound their ways down to LA, and they pitched the project to a man named Clinton C. Clark, and he eventually submitted approval for the trail, and he pieced together about 2,000 miles of already existing trails and roadwalks. And he put together maps and packing lists and all sorts of things. Go on the web, look at the PDFs of some of his earlier books that he compiled. It is absolutely amazing. And he pushed and pushed and pushed for this trail. He even got Ansel Adams, the famed natural photographer, to send invitations out for the very first Pacific Crest Trail Systems Conference. And that was the beginning of a movement to push to get the trail recognized and registered. The original proposal was connecting 4 trails, 2 of them in California and 1 in Washington and 1 in Oregon each. The 3 trails were the John Muir Trail, the Tahoe Yosemite Trail. Both of those trails are in California. The Skyline Trail in Oregon, and then the Cascade Crest Trail in Washington. And the first time that the trail appears on a federal government map is 1939. So just about 10 years after it was first proposed by Catherine Montgomery. It made a thing. But in the 1940s, during World War II, the majority of the work stopped on the trail for obvious reasons. But in the 1950s, it was picked up. And in 1968, the PCT was designated as a National Scenic Trail by President Lyndon B. Johnson. So that was just literally 50 some years ago. I know, because that's the decade I was born in. And in 1993, it was completed. It had a golden spike ceremony, if you will, where there were sections for the trail all put together. But the trail really is never completely done because it changes and it moves, and it goes over some public land or private land. There's other roadwalks that have to happen because of the environment that it's around. So the PCTA is working on to get those fixes happening, both through privately and through the federal government, trying to get it all one continuous trail. But it is amazing that, first of all, it took so long, but second, that it was a woman. Yeah. Today, the trail is managed by the U.S. Forest Service in partnership with the Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, the California State Parks, and the PCTA, which is the Pacific Crest Trail Association. And the PCTA runs mainly on volunteers and donors, and they help maintain the trail. Their focus is singularly focused on keeping the PCT open for generations to come. They work with thousands of volunteers and donors to protect, preserve, and promote one of the best trail experiences on earth. And we're going to go have one of those experiences.
Yeah.
They also are the association that has been granted permission to give permits to through hikers, or anybody who's hiking more than 500 miles, continuous miles on the trail. So that's pretty cool. And next Tuesday, hopefully please, trail gods, please be smiling on us. We will get our own personal
umbrella permit.
Yeah, our umbrella permit. And you don't have to do it.
Otherwise, we're doing locals.
Yeah, you can do, I think it's about 20, 30. I can't remember the exact number. I have it in a spreadsheet. Of course I do. I have it in a spreadsheet somewhere of what local permits we need. There's a little bit of ambiguity on a couple of them, but we'll see what we can do. So here's some interesting things that we will be experiencing on the hike. The highest point of the lower 48 states is literally just a few miles off the trail, which is Mount Whitney in California. It's 14,505 feet above sea level. And if everything goes well and we are on schedule, the weather cooperates, all that, we both want to summit Mount Whitney. Our PCT permit will allow us to hike Mount Whitney from the location of the Pacific Crest Trail. Otherwise, you have to get a special permit, and which are few, to hike it from the other side. But we hopefully will get there to the top, right?
Yeah, it's open.
Yeah. The highest point on the trail is Forester Pass at 13,153 feet, and it is one of eight named passes in the Sierra. The Mojave Desert, or Death Valley, as some of you may know it, is the hottest, driest place in North America, and we will be walking right on the edge of that, and hopefully it will not be the hottest. It will be the driest, but hey, we'll do it, right?
Yeah.
The Columbia River, which is the fourth largest river by volume in the United States, we walk over it. You can't walk through it. It's just too wide. And it's the river that I grew up literally a mile from when I was a little girl. We will pass three of the deepest lakes in the United States: Lake Tahoe in California, Crater Lake in Oregon, and Lake Chelan in Washington, which you've been to.
I have been to.
I haven't.
I've swum in that lake. I've jumped from cliffs in that lake. I've gone boating on that lake. I literally spent a whole weekend living on the lake. So that was pretty cool.
My husband, or Mission Control, has canoed the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in my family, and like all my brothers, have been to that lake, and all of my children have been to the lake. I haven't.
It's really cool. The last time I was there, you could see straight to the bottom. It was so crystal clear.
It's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. We will climb nearly 60 major mountain passes. Now, as the crow flies from Mexico to Canada, it's just over 1,000 miles.
I wish.
But we will hike 2,650. Therefore, we aren't just hiking north. We're walking all over. We will hike through desert, high alpine, and snow. We will cross rivers, and not always on a bridge. We are going to walk through deciduous forests, temperate rainforests, and lava fields. Mm-hmm. And we've done a couple of those lava fields.
We'll also probably be hiking through forests that are recovering from burns.
Yeah, so. which is a good thing and a bad thing. And it's good because, yay, we can hike again. It's bad because there is no tree cover, and you have to be very careful where you're walking. But it also, those trees, a wind can blow them down. Rain, anything can tumble them. Well, it can do it with as we know, as we lose trees every year in our backyard because of the wind. But it's pretty cool. It's actually kind of spooky-y cool to walk through.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Go see our sister's videos. You'll see. Here's some cool fun facts. The fastest known time, unsupported, is held by a woman, Heather Anderson. She's from Washington. She said it in August of 2013. She did it in 60 days, 17 hours and 12 minutes. We expect to be 4.5 to 5 months out there, like 150-ish days. She did it in 60. Now, the fastest supported is Joseph McConney. I think that's how you say his name, also of Washington. He said it in August of 2014. Of course, it's going to be August because that's when you end. He did it in 53 days, 6 hours and 37 minutes, but his was supported. So he had people there's certain rules on all this, but he had people. Now, just last year, a guy named Timothy Olson, and he is an incredible ultra marathoner. He's just an ass kicking athlete. He's awesome. He did it in 51 days, 16 hours and 55 minutes, but he had some official fire closures and what detours that he had to go through. So there's a little asterisk by name. Hey, you hike the miles that you're given, and you can't say something's worse or better than another because the PCTA closes something or the National Services close something. And sometimes most of the times it's completely out of the PCTA's hands, and it's dictated by the government, and you just obey it. You just go around it. So anyway,
as cool as those are, we are not doing anything like that.
No.
We are like hopefully 20 miles a day, but
yeah,
that's not us.
That's not us. No, we're not there to hike it. In fact, we're there to experience it.
Mm-hmm.
We want to go challenge ourselves to do some fun things and to learn some things. And quite frankly, I am so excited. I picked up another book about the flora and fauna in California because I don't know that.
We know stuff. Oregon and we know Washington pretty well, but we don't know.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Well. It'll be interesting to see what's down. I mean, I grew up in the desert, but this is a different desert. This is a hot desert. I grew up in a more steppe plateau area. So anyway, that's a little history about the Pacific Crest Trail that we are excited, and hopefully in a couple weeks we will have a countdown as to when we're starting. It's kind of cool.
I know.
And guess what, man? Women power.
Always.
I love it.
Always.
I love it. So anyway, we'll see you on the trails.